Peace and shalom, family. I'm your host, Tovi Mickel. This is Roots Reclaim. And as we do it today, the continuation of the feminine lamb with the Torah's hidden numerical structure, Azazel, 115, and the female lamb. And this is out of Appendix S of my book. I have the QR code there. And as you see, the Torah hid this, 115. Let's dive in, okay? The Torah is not primitive. It is architectural precision. And if you read it carefully, you start noticing something uncomfortable. The system was never designed to collapse everything into one figure. As you can see, blood purification, bearing, exile, consequence, polarity, male, female, Adam, okay? We'll be going over Leviticus 4, Leviticus 16, Numbers 19, Genesis 5 and 2. Those are the anchor verses. Let us continue. Most people think the Torah is primitive, ancient, ritualistic, unsophisticated. That assumption is the first mistake. It actually encodes polarity, and somewhere along the way, that polarity was flattened. Tonight, I'm going to show you what that means. Let's begin with this term. The term say. What I want to point out is in the translations like the King James, your NIVs, the terminology lamb, say, especially in Exodus 12, is used to give a broad naming or a broad terminology for a word that, as you can see, would mean one of a flock, lamb, sheep, goat, young goat, sheep or goat. Okay? Once again, sheep or goat. All right. But that term say does not just automatically mean male lamb. This is a crucial point. Another crucial point. Lexical distinctions. These distinctions, like say, as we just went over, is a category term. However, terms like keves, terms like seir, are specific animals. Keves being a lamb, seir being a goat, okay? They do not determine male or female, just a specific animal, all right? Next, the Passover requirement. The Hebrew phrase, se tamim zachar bin sana, all right, is male without blemish first year, okay? All right? Tamim, without blemish. Zakar, that also means remember, but here, male. All right? Sana is the first yearling year, all right, of that said, say, okay? Goat or lamb. All right, let us continue. Now, sin offering structure. The high priest receives a bull, okay? The leader, a male goat. And the common person, a female lamb. This system is hierarchical, and gender is legislated at specific tiers, okay? Once again, the high priest is a bull, and it has no specific male or female, only the leader and the common person. That is an interesting thing. Let us continue. Gender in Torah ritual is not random. It encodes meaning. The Torah legislates categories. We should not flatten them. And as you see, this is a sacrificial scale and status, showing again the high priest, a bull, the largest animal, the leader, male goat, a medium animal, and then the common person, lamb, right, or smaller animal. But let's look deeper, right, for common person, because it can also be, there's the economic accessibility built into the Torah, right? Okay, so with that being stated, this lamb doesn't have to be the requirement. The female is the requirement. You could also do 2 turtle doves. You could do fine flour, okay? So it does not have to be a lamb. It could be flour, all right? Let's continue. Right here we have, wanted to point out once again, there's the term nikva. So you can see the term female is there. Smallest is common tier, and it's the sin offering for the common person. All right? Must be female without blemish. So Leviticus 4 is not about Passover. Once again, it is about kasat, which is sin offering. Different ritual, different function, different theological frame. So, when later texts say the Lamb of God, are we preserving categories or are we blending them? Let's continue. Now, Leviticus 16, 2 goats. A goat for Yahweh, blood, slain, sanctuary, purification. And then a goat for Azazel, bearing, alive, wilderness, exile. So when we add exile, and Israel went into exile, that was a covenantal consequence, which is the daughter of exile, like I showed you before, Bat Gola. Wilderness mirrors exile conditions. This is not demon theology. This is exile theology. The terrain, midbar, all right? Wilderness, purification space. The feminine ritual agency is not absent. It is in Bat Gola, the daughter of exile. All right? And once again, just wanted to show you guys, I broke it up. Yom Kippur is a separate ritual from the common tier sin offering. And in that common tier sin offering, a female without blemish is that requirement. Okay? In the Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement or Day of Covering, that deals with the 2 male goats. Okay? So I'm just recapping so you guys can see what happens next and be prepared. The 2 goat polarity. Goat for Yahweh, goat for Azazel. Blood inside, purification in the sanctuary. Bearing outside, exile, and that is for Azazel. Okay? Once again, just to be clear, I'm trying to make sure we are very clear here because I believe that it is like everyone mixes up these rituals and they collapse them together. So therefore, once again, the sanctuary, as you can see in the imagery, blood is inside the sanctuary. It's a goat for Yahweh. It's a goat for Azazel. And the other one bears the iniquities of the people. Bat Gola. Now, let's get to what I know y'all have never seen before. And I'm building up right now. Before we move forward, we need to understand something about the literary world the Torah emerged from. In the ancient Near East, numbers were not just mathematical values. They were part of how texts were structured, remembered, and encoded. Royal inscriptions, temple records, and annal texts often use symmetry, repetition, and numerical framing to organize narrative and authority. For example, the Assyrian king Sargon II, who ruled from 722 to 705 BCE, left inscriptions that demonstrated carefully structured patterns in the way events and reigns were recorded. These texts were not random historical notes. They were deliberately arranged using numerical cycles and structural symmetry. This means something important. When we see numerical patterns appearing in the Torah, we are not importing a later mystical method. We are observing a literary technique that already existed in a broader ancient Near Eastern world in which the biblical text was written. Okay? Let's continue. This method of numerical interpretation did not disappear after the Torah either. In the book of Revelation, the author explicitly instructs the reader to calculate a number. Revelations 13:18 says, "Let the one with understanding calculate the number of the beast. The number given is 666. When the name Nero Caesar is written in Hebrew letters, Neron, Khazar, the numerical value of those letters equals 666. This shows the early Jewish and Christian writers were familiar with numerical interpretation embedded in language itself. In other words, numerical interpretation was not foreign to biblical thought. It was part of the literary culture. Okay? Let us continue. One of the clearest examples of numerical structure in the Hebrew Bible appears in Genesis 1. The creation narrative is organized around the number 7. There are 7 days of creation, culminating in the 7th day of rest, but the numerical structure goes deeper than the narrative sequence. The opening verse of the Torah, Genesis 1:1, contains 7 Hebrew words and 28 letters, which is 4 times 7. Key words in the chapter also appear in multiples of 7. The word Elohim appears 35 times. The words heavens and earth each appear 21 times. This is not accidental repetition. It is literary architecture. The author is structuring the text numerically to reinforce the theme of cosmic order. Once we recognize that biblical authors use numerical structure intentionally, we can examine later patterns in the text without assuming they were accidental. Let us continue. The number 7 becomes a structural marker throughout the Torah. Creation is organized around 7 days, culminating in sacred rest. Israel's calendar mirrors this pattern through cycles of 7 weeks, 7 years, 7 times 7 years leading to a jubilee. 7 functions as a signal of completion within the covenantal system. When numerical reductions later converge on 7, they are pointing back to this established covenant structure. In ancient interpretation, large numbers were sometimes reduced to their base values by summing the digits. When 358 is reduced, it becomes 16. 16 reduced again to 7. The reduction returns us to the covenant completion number already embedded throughout the Torah structure. Okay? And as you can see, I laid out all the numbers for you guys to see. All right? And now we get to the first numerical gematria, if you want to call it. And this is the one that everyone knows. Everything else I am presenting to you now. Let us begin. The term Dankash equals 358, the same Nakash that is in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Then we have the term Mashiach that we use for Messiah, but meaning anointed one. Okay? Those numbers equate to 358 together. So curse becomes healing is where this idea or the concept in theology of Yeshua doing these things. Hence my bronze serpent logic. Let us look at the reduction. 358, 3 plus 5 plus 8 equals 16. And you go down, 16, 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 marks covenantal completion cycles. All right. Azazel equals 115. Ben Dawid, son of David, equals 66. So, Azazel and son of David, Ben David, or Ben Dawid, right? And Azazel, with Bat Gola equal 115. Bat Gola being 49. Now I know some people will ask how I got the number 49. It's in my book. I won't go into details on how I got the number, but once again, Ben David equals 66. Bat Gola, and the only detail I will give you is the ordinal minus koel gave me the 49. And my riddle for you is Akkad. This is not mystical proof. This is a midrashic seal. The lexical argument stands without it, but the convergence is precise. Let us continue. I have more for you. The 44 convergent cluster, I like to call it, family, covenant, rupture, and repair. Exile equals 44. Gola, right? Gimel, Wav, Lamed, Hey. Gimel being 3, Wav being 6, giving you 9. Lamed being 30, giving you 39. And Hey to the 39, which is Hey is 5, giving you 44. If we go down to blood, you have Dalet, which is 4. You have Mim Sofit, which is 40. So Dalet plus Mim Sofit is 44, which is Damu, blood. So 44 also equals mother and father, because Aleph in Beit is, father, okay? And Aleph is 1, Beit is 2, giving you 3. Then you go to Ima, which is your mother. Aleph is 1, Mim Sofit is 40, 41 plus 3 is 44. Father plus mother united, okay? Again, this is a seal, not the engine. Architecture first. Numbers were built to confirm. Let us continue. Exile bleeds. Blood repairs. family rupture, covenantal repair. What I am saying is exile is covenantal rupture inside our family structures. Exile bleeds, and we need the blood to repair. Hence, people went to Yeshua for the blood. But hold up, I have even more for you. Here we go. Bat Gola. I'm using Katan to get 23, but the term Nituri using Katan also equals 23. Convergence does not mean identity. It means echo. However, most exiled Israel exists under Christian identity historically, making this numerical echo become extremely structurally provocative. I mean, if the majority of the said children of Israel went to exile, became Bat Gola, and then also became Christians, and the term that they would use in Ivrit is Nazari, then this is a very interesting convergence. Let us continue. All right. When polarity is collapsed, dogma collapsed polarity. The feminine sin offering tier was ignored. The two goats were merged. Okay? Once merged, you no longer need duality. Once merged, redemption becomes exclusively masculine. That is not an accusation. It is an actual architectural analysis. Ben David, blood, Bat Gola, bearing. Together is one right, one covenant, two different polarities. And this right here, I bring this out to tell you guys to riddle me this. This is also what I wrote to get shortlisted for SBL. A female shall surround a man. Please figure this riddle, just for fun. Male and female were called Adam. If redemption restores Adam, Adam includes polarity. All right? And then we just have the numerical numbers that we used. Just to recap, the covenantal sum during for Azazel was 115. I used Ben David and Bat Gola to culminate those numbers. Obviously, the main normal one that most people know, especially rabbinically, is the Nakash and Mashiach, which is 358. Then had the 44, which is the blood, the exile, and mother and father together. All right. And then we have the 23 echo of exile. All right. So what I will say is method matters, structures before symbol, category before conclusion, text before theology. All right, so did we flatten what Torah kept distinct? If Torah is this architecturally sophisticated, why were we taught to collapse? Go ahead. I want you to read Leviticus 4, read Leviticus 16, read Numbers 19, read Jeremiah 31, and ask yourself, did we lose something? Because the Torah did not lose the distinction. Only our reading did. Maybe through transliterations, maybe through theology. However, what is becoming quite apparent, or should be, is that clearly everything was not accurately taught and passed down. And this is the end of my lecture. Peace and shalom.